Appreciate it. We've got a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from May 22nd. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any in opposition? And any abstentions? All right, thank you. Member announcements. Any member announcements today?
I'm going to go ahead and share the agenda since we're whipping right along.
All right, hearing none. We'll go on to reports. Tanya?
Yeah, can everyone see the agenda now?
Yes, ma'am.
Lots going on. Okay. So in reports, I'm going to have Kurt Johnson go first with the update from OES. And you did see these, I sent it out last week to see his updates, but Kurt, if you have anything to add to that.
No, I was going to simply say that the minor modifications to the spreadsheet are included. We have made some headway with county council to get the last component necessary for us to get the ball rolling on the vegetation management in the winters and Cape Valley areas by getting an ROE moving along. And so it should be very shortly that we will be reaching out and working through that. I've been out and done, and I think I mentioned it last meeting, but I'll just mention it one more time. Been out to both Cape Valley areas as well, or the Cape Valley areas, checking their project areas, as well as to the Winters area, both along Casitas and Golden Bear. And so I think we are in a pretty good spot with an understanding of the scope of work. And it was just a matter of us getting this piece of paper squared away from the county council. And then I'll work with the individual points of contacts for those project areas, and we'll get them moving along here. And I did notice that someone mentioned there's a fire south of Winters, about 1.5 miles south of Winters, that's working right now. So any questions, comments, concerns?
Hey Kurt, this is Tara Thronson. I'm sure county council's going at the speed they have, but if you feel like you're getting held up with barriers, please let me know, and we're happy to step in and have a chat and help out.
Copy that. Yeah, I think we're fine. It was a matter of just making sure that we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's appropriately. In terms of the legalese, I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to assume that they were working their end appropriately. So, but thank you, Tara.
Can you guys, on my screen, I switched, okay. So this is Kurt's updated report.
Yeah, so we did some updating. We just put in there that, where we were at in each of the processes. And I think Tanya, you'd updated some of yours as well. But other than that, not a lot of change in where we are. Mostly just waiting on the ROEs.
Okay.
Any other questions from anybody else? Comments, concerns? All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you. Well, since we're talking about early action funding, the RCD is also running a couple of projects with that funding, the chipper program and the address sign program. So since I'm going to be talking a lot, since Heather is not here and Kate Reza is not here, I will let Allie update us on the chipper program and the address sign program as she is running those.
Sure, yeah. So chipper program, we've rolled out, we're making good progress. We have visited 5 properties already across 2 different chipper days, and we have our next chipper day is actually tomorrow, June 23rd. And our crew will be up in Cape Valley visiting 3 properties, depending on timing, but they think they can get through those 3 properties. And then after that, our next chipper day is June 28th, and we already have 3 more properties scheduled to be visited in Cape Valley on June 28th. And as usual, if anyone wants to be visited by the chipper, they can fill out our interest form that's found on our website, and we'll get in touch. And then our address sign program is also moving along. We got our signs approved for the size and the nitty gritty of it by the chiefs. And so we're doing 6 by 24-inch green signs with 4-inch numbers. And we have quite a few people on our interest form, about 49 people. And so we've got those signs ordered and they should get here hopefully tomorrow was the expected arrival date. We'll start putting those together and handing those out. And so same with the address sign program. If anyone is interested, they should fill out our interest form online and then we'll get in touch from there. So that's kind of our updates on programs. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, good. Well, if you guys who are more in the know can spread the word to your neighbors who might need address signs or chipping, please do so. And we have outreach materials that we can share with you as well to share with your neighbors.
Hey, Tanya, especially since John Fout's on the line, the Yolo PIO, have we had any media coverage from like Winters Express or even Daily Democrat on these programs? Because if not, maybe we could put together a press release to send it out.
Yeah, we did that about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and John actually helped edit it.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Democrat published it. Winters Express, I don't know. Actually, do you Winters folks, did you see anything? The Cape Valley Voice also published the press release.
This is Kate. I haven't seen anything. Rick Von Gelden has written, he'd be a good person to reach out to directly at the Winters Express.
Okay.
Follow up.
I think it'll be good, not just, I mean, obviously to get people involved, but especially Winters area. I mean, it's exciting to hear about these programs. This is a direct result from all of that community engagement after LNU, you know, that horrible experience. So I think it would be great to circle back and then people gain the benefits from their effort.
I think that's a great point.
I also posted on social media. I'll be happy to repost as well.
Yeah, so Ali has also been doing a lot of social media posting. So yeah, I think it's posting, reposting.
Yeah, the Winters
Tanya?
Express. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll say, Tanya, could you, or can somebody who has this send out the social media ready flyer or whatever could be posted in its present form? So that way this group can be advocates as much as they would like to be.
Yes, I think I probably sent something out a while ago, but we will resend.
And we can also send it out through the Yolo County Fire Chiefs. We can send it out to them. And they can
Yes.
send it out on their Facebooks and social media pages so that we get trusted sources that are delivering this message.
Okay.
And I think
Awesome.
we've promoted it already too, but I just, it's awesome hearing Ali talk about having the chipper day and another, and frankly, I think the snowball effect is going to come from neighbors talking to neighbors as they're getting it done. But this, I mean, frankly, this is good work from the community that should be celebrated. And as we all know, your defensible space is only as good as, you know, if your neighbors do it too, that helps, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll send out flyers after this meeting, individual flyers for chipper and address. We have those all made up. So we'll just send them out to the big whole list and you can keep pushing them further out.
Anya, this is Kate. Another idea is Winter City Manager Kathleen Truppa sends out a Friday update and includes a lot of really good information. And so that might be another avenue.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Any other questions about addresses, signs, and chipper program? It's a lot of education and outreach. Okay, I'm going to quickly share my screen with the calendar. This you did get sent this last week. Our next meeting is July 27th. Severa is meeting every Wednesday on Zoom. West Winters Fire Safe Council Steering Committee's been meeting on the third Wednesdays. Pleasant Valley does a hybrid on the second Mondays. And then we have our leadership team meeting, our Yolo Solano leadership team meeting on Monday, the 27th, which is the fourth Monday. We have a brown bag meeting tomorrow, I believe. Please correct me, Mike, if I'm wrong. And we had a website advisory committee meeting, which Ali will talk a little bit about. So just briefly looking at the community wildfire protection plan status, I have been meeting with fire protection district commissioners, and we're pulling together some information. And then when that gets tighter, we'll be able to share with the community. So actually the Cape Valley Fire Department, we're going to coordinate a community meeting at the end of July. And hopefully I can do the same in Winters, although Winters did have a lot of attention with the Greater Winters CWPP that was already done, but things have changed since that happened. So yeah, there's lots of, I did 3 meetings last week and I have one on Friday, and it's just been really great to sit down and talk to chiefs. So things are moving forward on the community wildfire protection plan, and once we have that going, it'll be easier to continue to apply for funding. Does anyone have any questions about CWPP and community outreach for that? Different community outreach. Okay. The next report is, share this again. This looks a little bit, so if you remember last week, Kate showed us our new improved grant tracking sheet. And there's a few things that are a little bit different. One is the Prescribed Burn Association has been contracted, and that's OES and the RCD working together. So that'll start in the next couple of months, where we'll start reaching out to landowners and doing some planning there. So that moved up from contracting in process to awarded. And then a new application went in last week through the West Winters Fire Safe Council and the Winters Fire Department. And it's small but mighty. It's totally community-based. And we are tracking the work that people do who aren't OES and RCD. So we want to keep your stuff in here because it all counts and it's all awesome. So that was great. So that is that. And does anyone have any questions about grants and projects? Moving along. Okay, the next, so grant opportunities, updates, and tracking. That was me and Allie. If you want to talk about something we have been talking about for over a year, which is the Fire Safe Council website. It's actually moving along at a rapid pace. So Allie is spearheading that. So I will let you give your report.
Yeah, so website update, probably the most exciting thing is we've purchased the domain. So we're going with yolofiresafe.org. We also purchased the .com version, so that'll be trafficked over to the site. I think we reported at the last meeting that we brought on a website developer, and we're working with her to kind of create an initial structure for the site. And we've gone through and sort of created what we're thinking will be the structure for the homepage. And we, like Tanya said, we had that website committee meeting where we got all of that approved. We got the homepage layout and the site structure approved. And so next step is for our website developer, Karina, to do an initial build out of the site. And then for me and other folks to fill out the website and add the content to it. And as usual, I'll ask folks to send over any photos that they might have, any fire related photos or fire safe landscaping photos or defensible space photos those would all be great for content on the site. And that's pretty much my update for the website. So does anyone have any questions about that?
Yeah, this is Elaine. I'm sorry I wasn't at the meeting. 1,000 apologies. I did have a quick question on the mock-ups that I saw. Was there some reason why we had the same, up at the toolbar, the same things as down below? It was like redundant. I couldn't quite understand why.
I'm not, are you talking about like the same menu options that were on, they were also on the homepage?
Yeah, there's a toolbar up at the top, and then there was the same menu options were down below.
I think that's just to give quick, I think we decided we want to do that for quick access. But if you want, I can follow up on email. We can talk about that a little bit more, Elaine.
Okay.
And Suzanne, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I haven't been here often. I'm actually Elaine's alternate.
Okay.
I also sit, in addition to the Aging Commission, I also sit on the Yolo Climate Action Commission. And wildfires and wildfire prevention and resilience are part of our agenda as well. My question about the website is in the development process, is there also going to be a process for testing the navigability and the interface with the public before it's launched live? And I'll just footnote that by saying in a prior life, I tested websites for navigability and user friendliness, and people who know what they're doing around a topic find it easier to navigate and using the right keywords and finding information in the appropriate categories than the general public. And so I would urge that there is some kind of beta testing that continues as the framework is developed and the content is added to make sure that people are getting the information that they need for both, prevention, hardening, preparation, and resilience, as well as response and emergency evacuation. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great comment, Suzanne. And I imagine there'll be a soft launch where we'll collect, critiques and suggestions from the public so that we can address those exact issues. But we haven't fully confirmed what that'll look like with our website developer, but it's a topic I'll definitely be sure to bring up with her.
Thank you.
Okay. In terms of reports, does Solano RCD have anything to update us on as part of a shared county line working together? I saw Karen and Chris Rose are both here.
Karen, why don't you go ahead and give the report? You're the one that's doing it all.
I can't hear you.
That better?
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that. So we're continuing to work with our communities to try to establish additional fire safe councils and working with our partners at Solano County to get the Solano County Countywide Fire Safe Council website up, or at least starting. And we've got a kickoff date set for the first Solano County Fire Safe Council meeting. It is tentatively set for late July. I will follow up with a final date and location once we have that confirmed. We're still getting the location nailed down. Chris, is there anything else that you wanted to add? You are muted.
It's mostly personal stuff that's probably not pertinent to this group.
Oh, I do have one thing.
Yeah, so some of it would probably be good. But no, it actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea to talk to Yolo about our website and what we're thinking it's looking like in yours, to maybe there might be a chance to have some sort of tie or something to those two sites. We're really excited to get this up and get this going. We also, with the website, are hoping that we have funded to have some actual, I guess, child sites, but essentially smaller templated versions. I hate that term. That actually fire safety councils could use for their websites if they choose, which we're really, really excited about. So, yeah.
And one thing that I did neglect to mention is through the Department of Conservation grant that we also have with, or that Yolo County is also a part of. There will be a fire resiliency and forest health needs assessment getting sent out in the next few weeks, hopefully. This will be in the form of a SurveyMonkey link in an email. It's a fairly long survey, but if you or a group that you are a member of receives this, please work with your partners in that organization or entity to appoint somebody to collect responses for your organization. These are going to inform the scopes of work for projects funded under this grant.
Great.
Thank you, Karen. Our Yolo also has that survey.
Some will be coming out from probably you, Tanya. Some will be coming out from me.
Yeah. So I actually have a procedural question. I am going to share my screen for the agenda, and we're still in the report section. We have Community Fire Safe Council reports, but I know there's a few people who have to leave early for another meeting, and I'm wondering if we can have the Fire Safe Council reports go after the special presentation, because we have at least 3 folks here from that, and I would like to let them get going if that's okay. And then after the special presentation, we can do our Community Fire Safe Council reports. Is that okay with everyone? And Chief Ramirez, what's your, I wish I'd thought of that when at 4 o'clock, but I just realized it now.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, because these guys have been patiently waiting through our meeting. So I would like to introduce Fire Captain Shane Galvez, who's going to talk about what a FireWise designation is and why I know that Pleasance Valley has already started, and now that we have our Fire Safety Council going, our Community Fire Safe Council is going, why communities might want to do that as well. And there's a couple other folks here from CAL FIRE. There's JC Greenberg, and there was another Shane who was driving, so I'm not sure where he is, but we've got lots of people here. And Anthony Mascucho, lots of folks here to answer your questions. So Shane is going to start with an introduction, and then we'll have lots of time for questions, as I said.
All right, well, thank you for having us today. Just do a brief introductions. So my name is Shane Galvez. I'm actually a CAL FIRE liaison for Yolo County, and that's one of 13 counties I take care of. Chief Shane Vargas is actually the divisional liaison officer for FireWise coordinator. So he's actually the one that's reviewing your FireWise applications. And basically, I'm the one that's helping you work through whatever problems that come up with your applications to get you guys approved. And then Anthony is also my counterpart in the Bay Area that will help with those applications. And I know that I see Chief Sitter and Greensberger from the local LMU unit, so I'm glad that they're here. So CAL FIRE acts as the FireWise USA liaison. Basically, CAL FIRE has divided up FireWise between the Northern California and Southern California. In the north, we cover 36 counties. Basically, if you were to draw a line across Amador County through Sacramento, through Santa Clara and Santa Cruz, we cover 36 counties from there to the Oregon border. And so NFPA Firewise is a nationwide program. Currently California is leading the nation with about approximately 520 active Firewise communities and approximately 200 applications that are pending as we speak. So obviously, living in Yolo County and the areas that you guys live in, you're well aware of wildland fires and have been through, a fair amount, especially within the last couple of years. We know that every year devastating fires burn across the United States. We all know we live in California, one of the most fire-prone states that deals with wildland fires. So while these fires will continue to happen, there are things that you can do to protect your home and neighborhood as well as your family's safety. The Firewise USA program is here to help you get started with that. So wildland fire could approach the homes and residential developments from any direction. We know that Yolo County has a variety of rolling hills, grass, oak, woodland. It goes into brush, some sparse timber, I know, in your county. So it doesn't matter what direction fire come from, the north, south, east, west. We know that you were part of the LMU complex, one of the largest and most recently. So even in various grasslands where a large portion of Yolo County might be, you obviously can be affected. So these fires can spread rapidly, and as an example, the campfire was spreading at 300 yards a second. So with those types of wind-driven fires, residents, as you know, have seconds to prepare and evacuate. We know wildfires will occur. It's just a matter of when and where. And we know right now we're right in that time when our season is really getting started. So history has shown us that major fires that will not be enough fire suppression resources to protect every structure on that initial dispatch. So as the fire grows and intensifies, your resources are coming from further away, and those travel times will add up, which means it's taking them longer to get there. So anything that you can do to help with your home and preparing it, such as home hardening, is going to help us defend your home. So how can your community benefit? That's what it comes down to. So gain insights into community risk, finding from wildfire risk assessment that we can help you work through. We know also your local fire departments can help you that because they have that local knowledge along with a local CAL FIRE unit. Improving awareness of fire safety issues, good practices, public education is a huge part of that. Working towards reduced fire risks, projects to create a more fire-resistant, fire-tolerant neighborhood, reduced hazards to you and your property, such as home hardening, fuel breaks, shaded fuel breaks, chipping programs, as you spoke about earlier, are a huge benefit. Demonstrated commitment to insurance carriers and other improved standing with your grant applications also. So with Firewise USA, I know that USA is a partner with that, but within the last 6 months, we've had a huge uptick with interest with insurance companies such as Farmers Insurance and AAA that are giving rates and percentages off, their rates for being a Firewise community. So steps to take: forming a Firewise board and committee, establish your community boundary to create a map, conducting a community wildfire risk assessment, preparing an action plan, and then taking action, completing one educational outreach event annually or a Firewise Day, completing a wildfire risk reduction in your community, and then submitting your application for recognition online with Firewise portal. So the Firewise organization charges no fees. Assistance with a community evaluation, as we mentioned earlier, your local departments can be a huge help with that. So it breaks down of 1 hour per dwelling. Annual investment is easily achieved. So a dwelling is a single family home, cabin, mobile home, apartment, as an example. So 1 hour, 1 volunteer hour is equal to $27.20 of investment costs. You can also do this if you had some of the grants or some of the homeowners wanted to hire a contractor to do clearance work, that counts also in what you're investing. So required annual Firewise activities, hold a Firewise Day, educational outreach event, wildfire risk reduction investments, minimum investment of 1 hour per dwelling. So in some situations, you may have a Firewise community where there may be an elderly couple that may not be physically able to do that 1 hour. Well, as an example, their neighbor can help do an extra hour or help them with their hour, and that will count. So community of, as an example, 100 homes needs to do 100 hours of an investment with the community. Submit a renewal online, a renewal application online through Firewire's portal. I'll go through that briefly after this. So there's a couple of key things that need to be updated on an annual basis. So update your action plan every 3 years, and then your risk assessment every 5 years. Now I'm gonna basically, I'll share my screen. I'm gonna walk you through our CAL FIRE website on how the application process works. Now you could also use the NFPA Firewise USA website, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to use our website. I'll share my screen. And hopefully everyone can see that. So obviously this is the fire.ca.gov, our CAL FIRE website. So the first thing you're going to want to do is scroll down here to the bottom to the Ready for Wildfire. Visit our website. So after you go to that, there's a lot of good information on this page with home hardening. There's some videos, create defensible space, stuff that's educational. I'm sure you had access to before. Get to the Firewise portion, you're going to go to prepare, and then you're going to scroll over to Firewise communities. And it's going to basically walk you through it. So one, organizing, your community, you're gathering your community, whether as an example was in Winters, and let's say the northern part of Winters against the foothills, there's a designated neighborhood that wanted to do a Firewise community. So let's say there was approximately 100 homes. To be a Firewise community, you have to have at a minimum between 8 homes, and you can go all the way up to 2,500. If you had a large enough community that wanted to have 2,500 or 1,000 or 500, we recommend breaking those communities into zones. And basically that's for span of control. Every community is going to have a resident leader. That resident leader is going to be like the lead person that's going to be on our Firewise website. They're going to have access to me to help them with whatever comes up. And I'll know who that person is as a contact. So they may be handling the updated applications as they renew. Other things may come up. They may have community events that they need some literature for. They may need some ideas. That resident leader is a key person. So if you have an area that you're considering in Yolo County that you want to have large Firewise community, then we recommend breaking that area up in zones, and each zone would have their own community leader that would take care of that. And we can help you with that. We can help break up that zone with you. We can help, give you a good idea of what we're looking for a map. So coming down to a plan. So obtaining a written wildfire risk assessment from the forest agency or fire department. So the risk assessment, this actually I won't click on this, but this video right here, wildfire risk assessment tutorial, is a video that you can watch, and it will walk you through the whole risk assessment. What we recommend is your local fire department, as an example, maybe Winters, someone from the engine company could give you a lot of insight on your area as they're doing a risk assessment in your community. Say, like, again, as an example, using that community that's on the northern part of Winters and the foothills. Basically going through the community, walking through or driving through, depending on the size. And it's a step-by-step process that can help you. So this is what it looks like. So the Firewise USA Recognition Program Community Wildfire Risk Assessment, and it walks you through everything. This would be your participants, some of your contacts, some of the persons that are going to be on your community NFPA website. And as you're basically filling out this information, you're checking boxes. A lot of it is very easy to do. When it talks about percentages, this is the overall percentage. There's no, we're not holding you to, you have to tell us if it's 50% of the community has roofing materials, composite shingles, metal, cement tile, etc. It's a rough estimate. Depending on the size of the community, as an example, again, if it was 100 homes, what percentage of the homes have these types of roofs? And these questions basically follow through. One thing that will come out of this is when you're making that map of your community, you're basically have that imaginary line that, as an example, again, we draw around that northern part of that Winters community. And that's the border of your Firewise community. So scrolling down to do. So how an outreach event and work with neighbors on addressing items for the action plan. These efforts will go, toward your site's annual wildfire risk reduction investment. This again talks about the sheet, your hourly rate as far as the volunteer hours are going through. Some of the examples of what you can do, educational events, meeting with residents. There's a lot of different things that are available, information on how to also create those community events. And then lastly is applying. The application, once it's been decided who's going to be the resident leader and you have your community in place and you're ready to move forward, it's just a matter of following through the application process with your risk assessment, with your map, and then I'll be there also as a resource for you to help you through that process if needed. There's a lot of good information as you work through this website. It can help you do that. We've kind of condensed this. Normally as a PowerPoint presentation, it's about approximately a half hour, but because of time, they said there would be a lot of questions. I condensed it, tried to give you a lot of the good information so we could move forward pretty quick and then I could address any questions. So we'll open it up for questions.
Hi, Shane. This is Rose Laval with the Pleasance Valley Fire Safe Council. I know you've been working with two of our members, Deb Rhea and Dave Stevens, on our Firewise application. So it got sent back to us, and I think it's because when we first applied, the zones hadn't been part of the application process yet. So I just want to kind of understand a little bit more about any time factors. For example, from the time you do the risk assessment, how much time do you have after those initial risk assessments are done to do the application? You don't want to do a risk assessment and then sit on it a whole year. I mean, that doesn't seem realistic. Is there a timeline for that?
So if you're doing your risk assessment and there's no new, residential homes being built that would be adding dwelling numbers, as far as you did your initial risk assessment, you had like 100 homes and then a year went by and they added another 100, that, could change things a little bit because now your percentages might change depending on what building materials they're building the homes with. But for the most part, it shouldn't affect, the zones. And I communicated an email with Mr. Stevens yesterday on what I think there was some information to get passed down to him from Deb and what needed to be done with the zones. And gave them some examples of how those zones could be broken down into. And then also my contact information is there. And I think I've spoken to him at least once some time back, but he's free to call me anytime, email me, and then I can help you guys with that.
That's great. So does the number of zones, you know, our area is fairly large, and what the map we're working on now has 8 zones. Is that, you know, we have a lot of different geography and ingress and egress.
Yeah.
Is 8 zones an unusual number?
No, I think if I remember right, you had approximately 2,500 dwellings. Was that around?
Not quite that many, but yeah, I think we have close to 2,000. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the primary thing is those zones, you want to have that resident leader for each zone. Basically, that person that's going to be leading and taking responsibility for each zone. That's the biggest thing. That's the key.
Okay.
So
right.
you can have 8 zones, you can have 10 zones, as long as you have, you know, a resident leader. It's just the span of control with approximately, you know, 2,000 homes or whatever. You have so many people that, you know, obviously a lot of people don't have the time because they're working full time. You know, they have family obligations, work obligations, whatever. And this is, you know, it can be more work. It's once you get established, it's only an annual upkeep, more or less. But I think sometimes run into a lot of applications that deadlines get missed, even though that's being communicated to the resident leader through the NFPA portal. Hey, we have your application needs to be renewed. And a lot of times it's simple things. It's just they're busy and they fall behind. That's all.
And is it correct that we should only have one resident leader for the Firewise? Or, I mean, each zone will have a leader, but then you also want one resident leader. Is that correct?
That's one resident leader, but each zone has a leader.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, that we live in the area of winters that you described, and we are very aware of our fire vulnerability here, and we've been working closely together. We've organized a fire safe council. We're doing a very active one. The question for us is there an advantage of doing Firewise in addition to Fire Safe Council? What is we're basically working to the same goal and putting in, I would say, comparable effort. But what is the advantage of the Firewise in addition to a Fire Safe Council?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest advantage that I've seen with Firewise communities is you have to get your community, whatever, you know, let's say, like example, there's 100 homes in your community of like maybe 2 to 5 acre lots, whatever that may be. You're getting more of your community educated and you're on the same page. Sometimes you'll have community members that won't want to come to your fire safe council meetings, or they won't want to be involved in that or have the time for that. But with Firewise, I think one of the biggest things is they're on the same page. They know that, yeah, there only may be an hour requested of them or required of them, but that could be an hour that they do in one Saturday afternoon or what have you. And they know that the whole community overall is, you all want to protect the community. I mean, I'm sure the LNU complex is fresh in all of your guys' minds of what can happen. And unfortunately, you know, we know that can happen again. So that's the biggest thing. NFP Firewise initially, you know, wasn't the intent to have insurance companies give the breaks. The intent was to get that community involvement, to get everyone on the same page. But now more insurance companies are coming online, and any Firewise community, you know, I get emails weekly from State Farm Insurance wanting to know, hey, is this resident in one of your Firewise communities? If it's one of the 13 counties that I'm covering, so on and so forth, because they're looking for those insurance breaks. Now, I can't speak on the insurance company's behalf, or am I? But I know that's taking place. Do I know how much is benefiting the homeowners? Unfortunately, I don't. I just know I get a lot of emails from insurance company agents inquiring, wanting to know, hey, and
Well,
it's,
that's obviously an incentive. We obviously, none of us are, I would say 100% concerned about making our community fire safe, but getting a break on insurance would certainly be an incentive.
yeah. I don't know if I answered all your questions, but neighbors talking to neighbors is a huge thing.
Right, and like Neil said, people are already doing that, but then the added incentive of insurance, because I know that's getting more and more expensive for rural homeowners. And Suzanne, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I belong to a community that has horses, multiple horses on site of several properties. This is out County Road 96. And so is there any sort of particular information that's specific to livestock, maintenance and protection and evacuation that would be relevant? Or would it be advisable for that community to create a fire safe community to coordinate evacuation and a safe places to go with the animals that are being evacuated?
So any community that, was in that environment where wildfires can happen, and obviously Yolo County, there are obviously portions of that's can happen anytime, whether they have livestock on their properties or not, is, obviously always encouraged. But fire-wise, one of the big things is home hardening. So doing what you can around those structures, whether they're the residence itself or maybe a barn, as far as specific information for evacuation routes and stuff like that. No, it doesn't get into that specifically. That would be something more that you would want to address with your local community. Even the Fire Safe Council might have information that can help you with that, because I'm not familiar with Yolo County in that way that I can answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Laddish.
Great. Yeah, Kate, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And I'm really glad to hear that there's a way for people who live in multifamily dwellings, basically apartment buildings, to be part of a Firewise community. And with the 1 hour per dwelling commitment. So for an apartment building, would that be for that each apartment would need to basically do an hour?
That's what it would work out to. I have not had any apartment buildings specifically in my counties, but I know in some of the Bay Area counties, such as Oakland and Berkeley, I know that that's taking place. I would have to do some more research and get back to you on that. But it's my understanding, yes, it would be 1 hour per resident. Okay,
terrific. Yeah, I'm really interested in finding out more about home hardening for multifamily dwellings, especially since people who live there, since you don't own it, you're not able to make some of the decisions that you can in other situations. So great, thanks.
Okay. Good. You guys are letting me off easy. This is awesome.
Gosh, Shane, thanks so much for taking your time to explain this program to us and share it with everybody. What a fantastic program. Love it.
Yeah, no problem. And you have my information. So anyone that needs to get in contact with me, give them my email, phone number, then I'll usually get back to them and help them.
Shane, did you get a chance to share your information in the messaging in the chat?
No.
Maybe the website would also a link or anything that takes them directly to where they need to be. That might be helpful as well.
Okay, I can do that.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I know folks are doing a lot, and maybe this is a little overwhelming, but it's definitely something to consider going forward. So thank you. Thank you, CAL FIRE. You guys are great. Thanks for taking the time for joining us.
Glad to.
I don't know if this is you or me, Tanya, but maybe we'll jump back up to the Community Fire Safe Council reports. Is that about where we are?
That's where we are. Thank you.
Fantastic. Chief Capitano, if we still have you on the line, or a Cape Valley Council report.
Oh yeah, sorry, that would more appropriately be Maura or Jonathan from Severa, I think.
Thank you so much. I think we saw Maura. I don't remember Jonathan on there.
Yes, Chief, I'm here.
All right, great. Thank you.
So very briefly, just a reminder, Cape Valley Fire Safe Council and Emergency Response Auxiliary are one and the same thing. So we kind of a little bit of bleed over on information. But the chipper program up here, we've had 2 days. And I can tell you that the homeowners who had the chipping done on their properties are now evangelists, and they are really encouraging their neighbors to get involved. We've also discovered that we also have, it's interesting, the people who have had the chipping done did not want the chips afterwards, but you know, they have a pile of chips, right? Doesn't matter. We have a whole community of people up here who want every chip they could get. So it's really been fun to watch the dynamics happening. And then Severa had our first activation of the year on June 17th. So there was a wildfire up in Rumsey that we were called to support our firefighters and all the other agencies that were there. So that was our first one of the year. And as always, we have a monthly training session. Our next one happens to be this coming Sunday. So that's our update.
Thank you, Maura. Any questions for Maura on the great work they're doing? All right, thanks so much. Pleasance Valley.
Thanks. So we're having our monthly meetings. We just had our monthly meeting on the June 11th, I think it was. And we had Ember Defense come and speak to us, give us a program on their home hardening systems that they use. It's a really good program. So I think a lot of people will reach out to them or have reached out to them already to have them come and evaluate their property. So that's really great. We're also continuing to look for homeowners who will let in our little group of risk assessment people to go ahead and do community neighborhood risk assessments so that we can give them a good educational information about maybe some simple things they could do, biggest bang for their buck. As you heard my questions to Shane, we are continuing and hopefully are very close to resubmitting our Firewise application. Hopefully that will be done even perhaps by the end of this week. We have a meeting scheduled right after this. So we're close. We had to really crack down and figure out our zones. And I think that's it. I think that covers it. Thank you.
Rose. Wes Winters.
Yes, thank you. We've been very active. We've been meeting monthly and pushing a number of projects along. One of them is we have reached a point where we've, thanks to the Resource Conservation District, we have a sign, at least designed and ready to put up on Highway 128. We've identified the location for it, and we really appreciate Allie and her design of that sign. I believe it'll be a large 4x8 and put on there in a way that it will be well seen. We also have applied for funding to help on the when responders come for fires in our area, that they'll have up-to-date information immediately available to them. And hopefully that will go through. And then just for sending information out to all of our homeowners on a regular basis through updated messaging. So that's quick.
Thanks, Neil. I'm going to have to bail out on the rest of the meeting. Tanya, if you wouldn't mind closing us out. Thanks, all, and I'll see you next time.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chief Ramirez. So everyone else don't leave yet. I would like to get your input on if you would like any speakers for the next meeting. think it was helpful to hear about Firewise. I thought there would be more questions, but we do have our local experts in Pleasant Valley who are doing it too. So, but it sounds like CAL FIRE is super accessible. But anyway, I missed the last Pleasant Valley Fire Safe Council meeting, but Ember Defense might be a good public speaker if we can, or I mean, an informational speaker if we can get them. But is there any other burning questions that you guys are interested in learning about? I was actually thinking about a basic fire ecology as well, if that's something that you're interested in. But I've got my pen and my piece of paper, so please give me some input and I will see if I can find people, because the more we know, the better we can do.
More information about grazing also, as you know, we get more and more people who it's almost word of mouth how we find out who local grazers are that we can contact, and especially local grazers who are doing smaller properties, because you know a lot of the big guys come in and they're doing $10,000 or $20,000. They're doing big areas, but a lot of people have 10 acres or 15 acres, but it's on a mountain or a hillside, and you know, they don't have $20,000 to hire some cute goats, but they need, you know, they need it for their 5 or 10 acres that are up a ravine. So that would be great.
Okay, thank you. That is a good idea.
If I can add something, there's a great segue I see between what you just said, Tanya, and what Rose said, which is that there's a relationship between the grazing and the ecology, that the grazing affects the ecology of these savanna habitats. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. Some of the grazers aren't very responsible about managing invasives in the poop of the animals coming in and things like that. So those two things should be coordinated. That's my suggestion.
Okay, any other? I mean, we both, us and PV Fire Safe Council, have a history of bringing in speakers. So we've leaned a lot on the California Fire Safe Council when we were getting going. That's it. If anyone has any more input, let me know. But Rose, would you recommend the Ember Defense folks? They've reached out to me as well, but I have not coordinated with them lately.
Yes, excellent. I have them coming in probably next week to look at my house, and everyone I've talked to who has used them says they're top notch, very reasonable as far as price goes, good knowledge, good information. Yeah, absolutely.
So they're actually will contract to do your home hardening?
I sure hope so, because my husband is not going to change that many vents.
Okay, all right. I will talk with Renee then. Okay, thanks. Anything else? As Chief Ramirez says, anything else for the good of the order? So our next meeting is July 27th. We'll just keep barreling along. We will send you a link to the recording of this meeting, or we'll send out a link, and also the chipper program and the address line program flyers for you to post and send and spread the word. And that is mostly for Yolo County, but we will be talking about doing some chipping in Solano. And Kate, you put a giant thing in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, it's a problem with cutting and pasting. So yeah, I'll really quickly, something from Vance Taylor, the chief of the Cal OES Office of Access and Functional Needs, is Cal OES and other organizations throughout the country are organizing the first national symposium, first national access and functional needs symposium, which will bring emergency planners, emergency managers, first responders, people with disabilities, and that can also include older adults together for a symposium to focus on maximizing innovative techniques to help folks help everything work better before, during, and after emergencies. And so it's free. It's 2 days, July 19th and 20th, 2 mornings. And so the registration link's in the chat.
Great, thank you.
One piece of good news to end this with, looking out to the east and looking at watch duty. It looks like that fire southeast of Winters is in pretty good control. Its forward progress has been stopped. And so I think Chief Lopez has been out there for a good reason, and you guys have done a good job. So yay.
That's a really good excuse to not attend the Fire Safe Council meetings. Too busy fighting a fire. Okay, I'm going to stop